Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump just won an enormous victory. Supreme Court allows Trump wall construction for now. New York Post, in a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court has for now sided with President Trump on his wall with Mexico, allowing him to continue construction using more than $6 billion diverted from military funds. The issue is not whether you think there needs to be a wall or not. That's not the issue. The issue is that President Trump, he stands for something, number one. This has nothing to do with, it has less to do with undocumented immigrants, which is what the left makes it about. It has to do primarily with narcotics, a whole lot of violence, a lot of other issues that haven't been addressed by any previous administration. Democrats say, well, there's a fence. A fence is not offensive. It's not a wall. President Trump stands for something, okay? He's bringing home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. He signed a deal in late February, early March to end America's longest-running military conflict in our history. Nobody's talking about that. That affects the lives of people of all backgrounds. People of all backgrounds, ethnicities, religions. All Americans serve in the United States. Well, the Americans who serve in the United States military are from all different backgrounds. And it affects everybody. I want all of our soldiers back home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts with their families, back home to their sons and their daughters, their wives, their husbands, their families. That is the biggest issue we face as a country, in my view. But he stands for that. See, President Trump, he wins these Supreme Court decisions primarily because he wants to do something. Democrats say, oh my God, he's an authoritarian. Sometimes he loses the Supreme Court decision, but at least he wants to do something. The rebuttal is, well, everything he wants to do is bad. He signed the First Step Act. That's very good. Progressives and Democrats agree with that, right? That's prison reform legislation addressing systemic issues within our justice system. Isn't that very good? Yeah, sure, that's good. He has allocated more funding, and his administration has given more funding in its first 4 years to historically black colleges and universities than President Obama's administration. That's a good thing, isn't it? Wouldn't the left agree with that? Of course it does. They can't possibly give him credit for anything. So, first president, only president ever to sign an executive order combating anti-Semitism, which is running rampant on college campuses. Well, of course, we know why. We know why the left doesn't want that. Okay, we had record low unemployment. We had record low black and Latino unemployment. So he stands for something. A lot of these first president to step foot in North Korea, he stands for a lot of good things to bring détente between North and South Korea. These are all achievements that President Obama and Bush never achieved, never got close to record low unemployment. Either of them. Never got close to beginning détente between North and South Korea. Bush started the never-ending conflict, and President Obama continued. Now, President Trump is reversing U.S. foreign policy. But why am I talking about this for the past 3 minutes or 4 minutes when it's an issue with the Supreme Court siding with President Trump? Well, here, Supreme Court declines to halt Trump wall. This is the Hill. The Supreme Court on Friday declined to block the Trump administration from using $2.5 billion in reallocated Pentagon funds to build U.S.-Mexico wall in a 5-4 ruling that broke along ideological lines. I bet you didn't. I bet you're not happy that you didn't get that it was Harry Reid years back in like 2013, 14. Who said, you know what, for nominations, you don't need a supermajority, just a simple majority. And McConnell said, you're gonna regret this, because they thought that Clinton was going to be the president. And then now you got Gorsuch and Kavanaugh just from votes over 50. So, or 50 senator votes. But here, by the way, my timeline for Clinton running is maybe going to be past. It could be past the DNC convention. They could be so inept and incompetent. And I think that, this is a whole other, I'll do a segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel on this, but progressives lost as always. They got steamrolled and stomped and bullied and obliterated by Democrats. They're not going to get anything. They're not going to get the cannabis legalization. They're not going to get Medicare for all. We knew that. They're not going to get anything they really want. Well, because, of course, Biden is not really going to be nominee. And, of course, Clinton wouldn't give them anything they wanted anyway. And the left, really, the Green Party is there for you. I'm a Trump supporter, so I'm voting for President Trump. The Green Party, the only people on the left I truly respect are Green Party people because they fight. And they don't care about being fashionable. They don't care about, taking one for the team, which is what Democrats always, or what left-leaning people always do. Oh, I don't like Biden, but I'll have to vote for him. And the people who aren't voting for Biden in this election, you're not doing anything special. You were the same people who said vote for Clinton. You're the same in 2016 after you knew Bernie Sanders was cheated. You'll be the same people who will say vote for Clinton after, a wild, it's so horrible. He swam across a river and then piranha got him. Oh my God, that's horrible. I don't know how it's going to happen, but there are apparently delegates now. I think about 300 to 370 who, that's good. They're showing backbone and they're saying they're not going to support the platform unless they're not going to support the Democratic platform unless they get Medicare for all, or unless they get. So they might just wrap up the nomination just to ensure that the thorn in their side, the Bernie Sanders supporters, like the delegates that are still cause what Democrats would consider trouble, they might. Look, if they waste this opportunity not to have Clinton at the nomination, accepting the nomination, then that's how incompetent they are. If Biden ends up being on the ballot across from Trump, he'll lose miserably, and this channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel will be the place to be. I've always said that Biden's going to lose. Obviously, my biggest prediction is that Clinton's going to be nominee, and I still believe that. Eventually, the nominee, Biden could accept the nomination simply because they fear what is going on right now. There's like a tiny, tiny civil conflict going on if you watch what's happening with delegates. It's interesting, but that insurrection will be crushed like they always crush any dissent. So that could actually postpone my dream/prophecy/prediction of Clinton becoming the nominee, which she will be eventually. I'm not going with Biden. So before those debates, Hillary Clinton. So I'm moving it. I might have to move it past the convention because of what's going on recently with the delegates, the progressive delegates that are actually showing some fight. It's actually pretty good. I have nothing but respect for the people who are actually fighting. That is a good thing. The delegates that are fighting, I have 100% respect for them, but they're going to be crushed eventually by the Democrats, the establishment, Biden, Clinton, Democrats. But Clinton eventually will be a nominee. I still think at the convention, I don't see how they can waste that moment 3 weeks from now. But if it's not the convention and Biden gets the nomination, it will be a hollow victory, a Pyrrhic victory for Biden and the Democratic Party. It'll do more damage than good. They would have been better served. They'll be better served giving it to Clinton at the nomination. But if they're so inept and incompetent and afraid of a tiny faction, which I respect these people who, as a Trump supporter, I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. The links are below. But anyway, they're having a thing, big little tiny conflict going on, and if Democrats want to give the nomination to Biden, And don't tell me he earned anything. He got a lot of help in Iowa with an app that was linked to former Clinton campaign officials. But if he accepts the nomination, and then gives it to Clinton somehow, some way, who knows how? I always told you, I don't know how. Eventually, Clinton will be on that ballot. But anyway, so my prediction will stand. Clinton's going to be on that ballot, and she's going to debate President Trump, or else they'll just lose miserably, and it'll still be great for me because I'm voting for President Trump. So anyway, but Clinton will be opposite President Trump on that ballot. She'll eventually be the nominee for president. But here, in a 5-4 ruling that broke along ideological lines, the court's conservative majority denied a bid by interest groups to halt construction after a federal appeals court last Monday said the use of defense funding for the project is illegal. Last month said the use of defense funding for the project is illegal. The court's 4 more liberal judges dissented from the ruling. The Sierra Club, the ACLU, and other challengers had asked the justices to lift their order from last July that allowed President Trump to begin spending the funds while legal challenges proceeded through the courts. I started off this segment with an explanation that President Trump stands for something. But the Democrats do not stand for anything aside from disliking President Trump. As you can see, and I spent most of this, a big part of this segment on the little mini civil war that's taking place within the Democratic Party right now. It'll be handled and taken care of by the establishment, but the Democratic Party does not stand for Medicare for all. Okay, they don't want Medicare for all. That's simply to get progressive voters to vote Democrat. There's a Green Party that wants Medicare for all. It's actually a political party that the platform is Medicare for all. It's like everything. It's literally everything that the far left or progressives want. Democrats are literally almost everything they don't want. What they say is, well, we'll vote Democrat because it's pragmatic. You're not going to get that. Plus, President Trump, speaking of the Supreme Court siding with President Trump, that's, he said, fund the wall to where I don't have to go to the Pentagon budget or the Pentagon funds, and I'll give every dreamer, like around 1 million dreamers, will become citizens. He stated this in 2017. Democrats said no way, because Democrats want to dangle the hope that one day they'll give dreamers citizenship. But I have friends who are dreamers. They don't care if it's President Trump or a Democratic president. They want the Democratic Party or the Republican Party to help them. Democrats aren't like that. So this is typical Democratic politics. Trump's got the money. He got the money for the wall. The wall is construction right now, and who suffered? Democratic voters, the people who Democrats say they're going to protect, because President Trump said, "Look, if you fund the wall, I'll go ahead and give you, one of your policy, what we thought was your policy goal of getting dreamers citizenship." Okay, which I want all dreamers to be citizens, like tomorrow, instantly. That's what I want. And I'm voting for President Trump. So not every Trump supporter or, not every person who's voting for President Trump views immigration in the same way. Nonetheless, the border wall is not just about immigration. The border wall is about a lot of violence, a lot of mayhem, a lot of chaos, but also the flow of illegal narcotics into the country. Well, people say, most of it goes through the ports of entry. Even if that's true, some of it goes through areas that don't have a wall. So if you can limit the places, if you can limit locations or the ability for people to to bring in these substances, then it very likely will make it easier for authorities at the ports of entry to do their job. That whether or not the wall it will be effective or not, that isn't really the issue. The issue is that he's trying to do something about a problem that nobody talks about, or that the Democratic Party talks about and then says, well, we'll have a fence but not a wall. So they're just pure public relations. They don't really care about stopping the flow of drugs into the United States of America. And now I agree with critics that say, well, wait a second, there's the consumption. The consumption within the U.S. is the biggest reason why we have the problem. It's not that the flow, there would be no flow of drugs if there wasn't a tremendous amount of consumption of people, utilizing and abusing these horrible substances. But anyway, it's really not just one issue or one. Like Democrats look at this and they say, well, we're on the side of justice. We're on the side of right. No, you're not. You're not. Because the wall itself, there's nothing racist about it. There's nothing xenophobic about it. Xenophobia, actually, the definition of xenophobia is blaming Russia for your election loss without any evidence. And then claiming that Clapper's ODNI report, where he states he's moderately to highly confident, based on the intelligence reports, moderately to highly confident, not certain, that Russia interfered in the election. That's not evidence. A Steele dossier literally purchased by Clinton and the DNC is not evidence. So that's xenophobia. See, what Democrats do is there will be and then they focus on like, oh my God, he said this, he's called, President Trump never called, ever, he never called all Mexicans, criminals. He never said that, ever. They don't ever use the actual quote. Do you want to know why? For the same reason they don't actually use the both sides actual quote. Because the actual intent or the actual quotes themselves don't correlate to the outlandish narrative spun by Democrats. Whether he stated something that was rude in the beginning in 2015 or crude, yeah, that's true. But within the actual entire dialogue, he even stated, yeah, you know what? There's certainly very good people. Also, it's not. And then you can, again, it's like Pavlovian with Democrats. You see, he was trying to say both sides. It's like, no, he was talking about with undocumented immigration. Their criminals are a small, tiny percentage. The vast majority are amazing, good, beautiful people. And that would be the case with any undocumented or immigration in any scenario throughout the world. What Democrats take it as they're like, oh my God, you see what he did? He's speaking to the horrible, base emotions of people. In the manner he said it, sure, it was perhaps crude, but that wasn't really what it was about. That wasn't really what it was all about. And there are like sober, rational, arguments on for pro and against the current policies that are going on. President Obama was called the deporter in chief by La Raza. So Democrats love to throw stones. They have the most brittle glass houses. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. And if people actually watch the whole 20 minutes here, they'll know that me obsessing over Clinton running was only about 6 minutes or so. Still, most of it was about this topic, because I know I'm going to get, why do you always focus on that? I'll watch the whole thing. But that actually, like, there's a little mini conflict going on. So they might just, because I'm like, wait a second now, this can't be. They can't be going with Biden because Biden has said he's running for Senate. So And also, it's a political machine where Madam Secretary purchased a Steele dossier. And they cheated Bernie Sanders in 2016. Clinton is going to be opposite that ballot. She'll be the nominee eventually. Maybe it's going to be after the convention. I'm still trying to I'm still trying to find. They're not going to defeat. Democrats are not going to defeat President Trump. So that is also one of my predictions. And I've been saying that since I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. The moment in 2016 that Clinton lost, I stated that they're going to lose to Trump again. And I haven't wavered at all for the past 4 years. So be here on this channel November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All of November, October, obviously, the lead up. Clinton will be the nominee eventually, maybe after the DNC convention because of this nonsense. Or actually, it's not nonsense. I respect the people who are fighting back, but they'll get crushed eventually by Democrats, like they always do. And I mean, I say for the life of me, why don't they just join the Green Party? I don't get it. Oh, that's right, because Russia likes the Green Party. Russia likes the Green Party. Russia likes Tulsi Gabbard. Russia likes Trump. Russia likes Joe Stein. Russia likes anything that is bad for Democrats. That's really interesting. That's not xenophobic. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Supreme Court. President Trump sides with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court sides with President Trump. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below, and subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it'll eventually... Look, this election has been so boring and slow. It's eventually going to heat up, and this is the channel. When it heats up, this is the channel you got to watch, and H.A. Goodman's other channel. My Patreon is below if you want to support my voice. Thank you, everybody.